Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we get into it today, we do have a video for you on an update for Assembly Bill 2571. As we were editing the video though, we realized a little bit of context might help with this as we go over the proposed changes to the bill, and that's just what they are. They're proposed changes. So for the full context, Assembly Bill 2571 was passed into law. It currently is a law in California. That's why we've been trying to educate as many people as possible to not run into that law. However, when CRPA filed a lawsuit claiming it was unconstitutional and also seeking a hearing to get either a temporary restraining order or an injunction on the law, which would make it unenforceable while it was being litigated, that hearing ended up getting pushed back because these proposed changes to the law were created. Now, these proposed changes do currently sit on Gavin Newsom's desk. He can sign them into law immediately whenever he wishes. There is a chance he does that. There's a chance he does nothing. And in the case that he does nothing, on the 30th, these proposed changes will become law by themselves. Make no mistake about it, though, CRPA is going to continue with the lawsuit, and we do have a rescheduling of that hearing for October 17th. So on October 17th, we'll finally have a ruling of whether or not we can get an injunction or a temporary restraining order on this law while it is being litigated. So I just wanted to offer that. These are proposed changes. They are not currently in the law, but we do go over them in this video. As always, I hope you guys find this information useful. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Glad to be with you here today. We are circling back to AB 2571 today. Last week, CRPA posted on its website some updates as we've seen some of the language in this bill get modified. So for those of you who have not been following along, AB 2571 was a bill that was enacted under an urgency clause in July. This was the one where Gavin Newsom got out on TV with his AR and the pictures behind him saying, "What the heck are you guys thinking?" But really what this bill does is it prohibits the advertisement to youth of any firearms-related products. Now, when they came out with this bill, I mean, it was enacted for about a month, and we're already back to the rewriting phase because, surprise, surprise, Sacramento didn't think this whole thing out. So there have been some exemptions that have been included in this bill now, but I want to be clear on a couple of things before we dive into this document. First of all, this document is a suggestion, or it's a guideline that is a suggestion from CRPA. Unfortunately, this bill is extremely murky, and because it's so new, we don't have any precedents on it yet. Nobody has been attacked through this law, and I guess by attacked what I mean, nobody's been prosecuted for violating this law yet. We don't really have any examples to go off of like we would a lot of other laws in the way that we, suggest that people go about their lives pertaining to those laws. So keep that in mind. This is a guideline that is suggested by CRPA because nobody's been prosecuted for it yet. So the bill itself, is murky, and you might even argue it's even murkier now than it was before, but essentially it looked like it was prohibiting all speech to minors with anything related to firearms. And as we go through these things, you'll see that it appears to, with the new language, attack everybody less with the exception of firearms companies and retailers. So let's jump into this one. I'm paraphrasing here just so that you know. I've selected a few portions of this document. If you want to read the whole document, go to crpa.org. It's under the news section. You can read the whole thing just so that you can be as clear as possible what these suggestions are. But the first category here is youth shooting publications. So it says here, if a publisher could even survive a ban on such advertising or sponsorship, it might be able to distribute magazines to youth in California, but no portion of the publication should include an endorsement or promotion of firearms-related products through traditional advertisements, articles, or other content. And I think this will be the overarching theme here as well. While they did put exemptions into this law, you're still kind of taking the money out of it, right? You have people who invest in publications because they want to get eyes on their products. Not only do those companies rely on the publications to get eyes on their products, but the publications rely on the advertisers paying them in order to keep the publication going. So will these publications even survive without this? Who knows? But the suggestion here is that the publications do not have any firearms-related products as advertisements within them. Working our way to youth shooting groups. So while youth shooting organizations, groups, or teams may likely resume advertising, registering participants for, and hosting such events, they should take precautions to ensure that no speech that might encourage recipients to buy any firearms-related products takes place. Additionally, coaches and trainers should refrain from endorsing any firearm-related product or suggesting that their athletes or their parents purchase gear for the competition. So this is basically saying, hey, you can still have your events, but you can't talk about firearms-related products at those events. And coaches or trainers need to be especially careful. And all that this means is no vendors, again, like the publication, no vendors at the event selling products. You can put out, hey, we're having this event. It's happening here. There will be shooting going on, but you can't promote anybody who might be selling a firearms-related product, ammunition, or precursor parts. So again, focusing even more on trainers and coaches. Individual trainers and coaches may thus resume offering training to minors, but they should be careful not to engage in any speech that might encourage recipients to buy any firearms-related products. Additionally, even endorsing a product by saying something like a firearm of this kind would be good for you could also expose you to civil liability under the revised bill. Same thing, you can resume the training. You can't be wearing any patches from Springfield or Glock. You can't be talking about the actual products that might be used, but you can educate kids in how to be safe and handle firearms safely. Moving on to organizations and membership. So groups may resume communications with youth, may advertise and sell youth memberships, sponsor, host, or participate in youth shooting sports events and hunting events, and do training. But still, they may not engage in any speech that might encourage recipients to buy any firearms-related products if it reasonably appears to be attractive to minors, whatever that means. And that's the real murkiness of this bill. What does that mean? What is reasonably attractive to a minor? You know, you have a membership that spans the entire state. A small portion of those are kids. A large portion of those are adults. However, in your communication to your membership, you need to keep anything out relating to firearms-related products that might be reasonably attractive to kids. This is why I say that these are guidelines that are suggestive. Nobody's been prosecuted for this yet, but that language is just so murky, it's hard to tell how they would actually go about prosecuting that. How do you prove that something is reasonably attractive to minors? But again, it takes the same theme as everything else. As far as ranges are concerned, so the revisions have not necessarily created any exemptions for ranges. However, since this bill has gone into effect, CRPA has suggested that ranges carefully look at things that are posted around the range. So, for example, I can't think of the last range that I went to that didn't have a banner or some sort of flyer that had a retailer or a manufacturer's logo on it. If you have a banner If you have a Glock banner on your range, that might be something worth looking into and potentially taking down. That can be interpreted as being in violation of the law if minors are at the range. However, the suggestion that CRPA has put out there is that minors should be able to go to the range and you should be able to conduct business normally that way. As far as hunting groups are concerned, so while hunting and conservation groups may likely resume advertising, selling tickets to, and hosting such events for youth, they should take precautions to ensure that no speech that might encourage recipients to buy any firearms-related product take place. And finally, while the amendments expressly exempted speech promoting youth hunting and sports shooting events, the law is silent about promotion of youth recreational shooting events. Those are non-hunting or competitive shooting. It is unclear whether promotion of such events is allowed under the amendment of the law. So again, you did end up getting some exemptions written into this law. And by the way, the reason why these exemptions got written into this law is because CRPA threatened with a lawsuit. CRPA is still moving forward with that lawsuit. We are still seeking either a temporary restraining order or an injunction on this law while it is litigated. That is not something that we are stopping. Because even with these exemptions, this law is still a violation of our Second Amendment rights. So I wanted to be clear about that. However, you can see the overarching theme here. The legislature has written in these exemptions to basically say everybody else can continue to conduct business, but what we're really attacking are the firearms manufacturers and retailers. However, what they're not telling you is that those firearms manufacturers and retailers are a key part in what makes this world go around. Just like anything else, you have people who are making a living off of YouTube. While YouTube might be writing their checks, the reason why YouTube is writing their checks is because advertisements, whether it be Coca-Cola or a political campaign, is paying YouTube to run their ads through those videos. This is how the ecosystem of every industry works. And they might write exemptions into this law saying people can conduct their business. But the truth of the matter is that business is not going to be able to continue and be conducted in a normal way when you take the advertising out of it. This is why it's still an obvious encroachment of our rights. This is why CRPA is continuing with the filed lawsuit. However, I just wanted to keep you all up to date on what these exemptions were. And again, this can be found on crpa.org. So if you want to read the entire document, if you want to stay up to date with what's going on with AB 2571, continue to check in on the website. You can also like, share, and subscribe this video. Bring this video to others. It really helps us out with the algorithm, but be sure to read it there too. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.